Welcome to another episode of In Conversation with Alethia. I'm your host, Alethia O'Hara-Stephenson. In this show, we interview amazing individuals who are doing inspiring and incredible things in our community. The show will educate, it will empower, and it will inspire you. Today, I am honored to have an amazing guest with us today. Her name is Charlyn Asher, and I'm going to take a moment to read her bio because her bio is absolutely phenomenal. She is the president of Cold Paper and Antoine Fulfillment Divisions of Asher Industries, Inc. This extraordinary woman is the epitome of perseverance, dedication, and commitment for managing to attain her 23-year history of achievements throughout her life. Not only did Charlyn distinguish herself as a successful businesswoman in the company, but she became the only Black female president in a corrugated and shipping supplies business. This accomplishment is not only historical, it is a trend setting for our young people. Welcome to the show, Charlyn. I am so honored to have you.
Oh, thank you so much. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. Thank you
Awesome.
for having me on.
Yes. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you because as the title of the show says, from humble beginnings to the C-suite. Yeah. And I want to start from the beginning. Okay. I want to start from home because you are, I won't say product, I'll say the fruit of Grenada. And you had some really, really humble beginnings there. And I'd love for you to share that journey with us, that story with us, starting from Grenada.
Yeah, so I was born in a small village in Grenada, Windsor Forest in St. David's. And I'm one of 9 kids. And like you said, I grew up in extreme poverty, not having running water, some days we would go to bed with no food, no shoes to wear. So it was like my childhood was really hard. It was really a struggle. My dad migrated to Canada, so I was raised by a single mom sometimes, and it was definitely a struggle to try to get things that we take for granted, like just food. Like we'll go begging at the neighbors to get some food, just to have food or even clothes. We would share each other's clothes. I would go to my cousins and we'll all exchange clothes and stuff like that. So it was really tough. It's extreme poverty. You're thinking about a 1-bedroom. It's like a little shack,
right? With 9 siblings.
Yeah, with 9 siblings. So when I think back about it, how small the house was, it was probably less than 200 square foot house I grew up in, and we all would cram in there, and we slept on the floor, and some people slept under the table, wherever you can find a little space, to get to where we, just get to where we are.
Oh my goodness! And so you were able to move from Grenada to Canada, and I know when I read your bio initially, we talked about the fact that, you didn't have much education and you were able to still build an empire. So let's talk about that journey. Okay. What was the inspiration behind you even starting your first company here in Canada?
Well, I moved to Canada when I was 18 years old, and I came here as an illegal immigrant, just on vacation. I didn't come to stay, but, when I think about the life that I had back in Grenada, and then, what I saw here, I'm like, there's no way I wanted to go back. So I begged my dad to stay, and it was definitely a culture shock. And not only was it a culture shock, people started treating me differently, and it was just like, I don't feel like home anymore. And people were like, I had a really thick accent and I didn't sound, and people would be like, what language is that? And I'd be like, it's English. And they were like, we never heard that English before, because it was Creole patois, right? And so it was a really hard adjustment, just being able to, for people to understand me, 1, and 2, I had no working experience. I finished high school in Grenada, and then I came here and I had to start a life here at 18 years old. So it was pretty hard, I had some odd jobs like babysitting, and I was terrible at it. I wouldn't last. They will fire me because I'm 18. I know how to take care of my siblings back home, but taking care of kids here, being 18, it's very different, right? Yeah. And there was so much expectation of how to take care of kids and things that you're supposed to do that I had no idea about. So it didn't last. I got terminated a couple of times.
Wow.
Yeah.
But that's by itself is inspiring, because when I think about now your journey from Grenada to staying here, illegally, the amount of courage that took. Right, as a young woman at 18 to try and create roots in a new country, where did that courage come from?
Well, I think, two things stayed with me. And I think when you face hardships in life, you either, come out on top or you make them bring you down.
Yeah.
And at this point, I had, it's either you swim or you sink. And at this point, I'm like, no, I'm going to swim. Everything will take time. I believe in myself. I know I can do it. And I just needed the time to to prove myself that I can, be successful. So it was definitely difficult because you go from like barely a high school education,
Yeah.
no paper, no landed immigrant, so you have no status in the country. How do you
Where do you start?
Where do you start?
Yeah.
And you start one day at a time, one foot at a time, and you just keep looking and dreaming big. And my thing was like, I knew I was going to be somebody big, and I just had all these dreams for myself, and eventually I caught one.
Oh my gosh.
And I caught a dream, and I was able to, work in factories. So I literally built myself up. So I started with daycare, then I work in factories, on production line, then I did pick and packing. And I had a lot of struggles along the way doing these jobs. And eventually as the time progressed, I just wanted to see growth. I just wanted something better for my life. Mm-hmm. And so eventually I became like an office clerk and just kind of worked my way up.
Oh my gosh. So looking back, and you talked about dreaming big, did you ever imagine that dream would land you into the logistics business and corrugated business?
Not really. I knew that for me, I've always been very independent. Mm-hmm. And like maybe it's because not having your parents around, you actually have to grow up really fast. So I always was really independent, and I kind of knew what I wanted. And I grew up not having to take too much instructions from anybody. So I really had a hard time with maybe authority. That's why I became my own boss. Just because, and when you're strong-willed and you're strong-minded, it's really hard for people to put you in a box or have to follow all the rules, even if sometimes the rules are not right. So for me, I just didn't want to have to go in every day and be told, you do this, you do that, this is our way and not, your way. And so I just wanted to make my own life decisions. Mm-hmm. And so some of the life decision was being my own boss.
Wow. And so when you started working at the factory, what was that experience like? Again, and at that time, were you still an illegal citizen, or share that experience with us?
Okay, so when I started at the factory, I was 18. I was an illegal immigrant. I was making $6.85 an hour cash.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. And I would go to work from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. So I would do double shift 5 days a week. So it was really trying to develop that work ethics, mm-hmm. to, be disciplined, to go to work. And I really didn't have a life here. So my life was pretty much just work and saving. So by the time I was 22, I was able to buy my first house here in Canada.
Okay, I think you need to repeat that because for you to be able to buy your own house at 22, yeah. That is unheard of.
Yeah.
So how did you do that?
So at 22, I met my husband at, I think it was 19, and all we did was work. And I had a goal because he was at the time renting, and I felt like I didn't want to really rent from nobody. And every month I had to go give the landlord some money. And I'm like, no, it didn't feel right. So I'm like, let's work and save. And we worked, we saved. And when I was 22, we were able to buy our first house.
That takes a lot of guts, a lot of courage and determination to be able to do that. And the fact that you're able to do that at 22, how did you stay out of trouble? I know what I was like at 18. How did you manage to keep your head on your shoulders and together and focused enough to be able to accomplish your first dream?
I think, you know what, when you come from a small island and you come from a place where, people say you can't do this or you can't do that, yes. And you always have to find the need to try to prove everybody wrong and say, I can do this, I can do that, I can be somebody. Because, when you're here every day, you don't have no dreams, you don't have no goals. Like growing up, I was told, my mom had 9 kids, that the hope for you is that, have 5 kids. If you had 5 kids, the family would be happy.
Wow.
So this is what was surrounding me, that I will grow up, I will have 5 kids, but I'm like, I'm not going to let these people's misjudgment of me, of who I am going to be, manifest into the life that I should have.
Wow.
And so I just had that in the back of my head to just keep working, and I'm going to prove them wrong, and I'm going to be somebody. And so I guess just that strength, just to like really want to be successful.
So that you're really the epitome of a self-defined woman, right? You didn't let other people's opinions, other people's beliefs define you and who you are and who you were to become, which is absolutely powerful and inspiring. When I think about your journey again and seeing the woman that you are today, for you to be in a predominantly male business, what does that feel like? Because it's almost unheard of. And for you to be a Black female being a top organization, not just in Canada, but across North America.
Yeah.
Share that experience with us.
You know, it's such a surreal experience. Like some days I'm like, is that really my life? Because I never, you know, you don't dream about, you know, you're going to grow up and you're going to be the only female CEO in North America in the corrugated industry, or even the only CEO, Black CEO in Canada in the logistics business, right? You just, you know what, like you just dream big. I just wanted to, like I said, one, have my family proud of me and those misjudgments of what they thought that I would be. And so it's pretty tough. It's pretty tough. Just, how do I say it? Just gonna cut it. It's tough because, you know, corrugation is not my background, to be honest with you. The logistics is. And when I bought the business, I was given like 1 month training. And then it's crazy because people in the business, in the corrugated business, who knew that I bought the company, were making bets that I would have
wouldn't last?
1 year. So
Oh my
everybody
gosh.
said 1 year, and then I'll be out of there. And so it was a lot of pressure, obviously, you know, because this was all my life savings that I took to buy cold paper. So if it didn't work out, then I had to go back,
Oh my
you know, to
gosh.
being an employee. And, you know, so I really had to push through and, you know, figure it out real fast.
That is incredibly inspiring because, you know, here what I'm hearing is, you know, bet on yourself.
Yeah.
Who better to advocate for you than you,
Yeah.
right? And despite the naysayers, despite everyone else saying, you know, no, you can and she won't make it, here you are today standing in front of us and being able to share your journey and your experience with us. That's absolutely powerful and inspiring. And, you know, I wish many viewers who are listening to this will take some of the nuggets that you're sharing because you started with a dream.
Yes.
Right? And here you are today being the only female CEO
Yes.
in this industry.
Yeah.
Dream big.
Yes.
Dream
You have
big.
to. Yeah. So I you know, what I say to myself is, you know, don't let, like you say, the naysayers or anybody's misjudgments or concept of who you are, what you should be,
Yes.
you know, get in the way of your dreams, because, you know, your dreams are, you know, we don't have much in life.
Exactly.
But we have our dreams and our
Yeah.
thoughts, right?
I love that. You know what? I'm going to pick up on that. We're going to take a quick break and we'll pick up on that conversation.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us. We're here with Charlyn Asher and we're just talking about her journey in the corrugated business. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to In Conversation with Alethia. In the studio with me is the incredible Charlyn Asher, president of Cold Paper and Antoine Fulfillment. Charlyn, we left the conversation just talking about your incredibly inspiring journey. And I want to go back to the conversation where here you are now in Canada and you were able to purchase Cold Industries, Cold Paper.
Yes.
You had no experience. What gave you the courage to even dream big and decide to embark on that journey?
Okay, so when I was, I would say 22, I was unemployed and I was on unemployment, and I went into this job creation program where I wanted to make the transition from the warehouse into the office. And I would go to work, but I was on unemployment, but I would go to work in this place for, I think it was 4 days a week. And they would train me like how to use a computer, how to type, and how to do all this stuff. And after 6 months, I'll be able to, make the transition into an office. And I remember one of my coworker was saying to the owner of the company at the time that I was dumb, I was stupid, I didn't speak proper English, and
Wow.
she was wasting her time with me. And I think hearing that, I had to, again, you always have to kind of prove yourself to people and prove them wrong.
Right.
And so I decided that I would buy myself a computer, and I taught myself how to use Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, how to type, how to do everything. And within another 2 months, I was at the front, answering the phone, doing payroll, vacation, everything. So
Amazing.
after that, I was like, I am unstoppable. Nobody is going to get in the way of my dreams, and nobody's going to call me dumb or stupid. So once that was done, I just like the way to success was just unstoppable. Nobody could get in my way. And I didn't know anything about corrugation. I'm not going to lie about it. I didn't. But at the same time, I knew I was intelligent. I was smart. I was knowledgeable.
Yes.
And I know I was a quick learner, and nobody cannot take this away from me. I can do it. I did it. 6 years later, we're here.
Oh my gosh. See,
Yeah.
the message that I'm hearing, and for all of our young people, there is nothing that you cannot do
Yeah.
if you only believe in yourself.
Yeah, believe in yourself. Don't listen to what nobody have to say about you. Let the noise in the background be that background noise,
Yes.
and you just stay focused. Run your race. Don't look back, because the people who are in the back of you, they're there for a reason.
Yeah.
And so the people, and sometimes you need naysayers and haters and doubters to, to shoot you to the top. So they can say, wow, I was really wrong about this person. And so that's why, I wasn't afraid. I'm never afraid. Fear is not part of my vocabulary. I'm never afraid of like doing anything. So was it fearful to like buy a business? Not really. Did I know I could do it? Yeah, I'm smart. I know I'm super smart.
Yeah.
I might not, I got kicked out of high school, but didn't mean I wasn't smart.
Wow.
I was smart, and I'm proving today that I'm very smart because I'm running successful business.
Smart, you're capable, you're powerful, independent,
Yes.
all of the above. Oh my goodness. Now, we're talking about, we've talked about Antoine Fulfillment, we've talked about Cold Paper, but you also have another major organization that basically is the parent of all of these.
Yes.
So, Charlyn Asher, Inc.?
Charlyn Asher, Asher Industries, Inc.
Perfect.
Yes.
And so I want to touch on that because I think that industry itself is also very powerful for our audience, because if I look at your website, charlynasher.com, you talk about your own personal journey, your personal triumphs, and you talk about weight loss. You talk about your struggles as a mom.
Yeah.
What was the motivation and the inspiration for you to have that branch by itself?
I wanted to inspire and motivate young people, Black women, people who have goals, who have dreams, that, you can achieve your goals. Yes, the odds might be against you.
Yeah.
But, if you really dream big and you follow your dreams and your goals, you can achieve anything you want to do. And I just wanted to lay out my story so people can see some of the struggles that I've been through, and to let them know that, whatever you're going through in this moment, we all have a story. My story is not different from your story. And it's like, yes, my story is valid, yours is not. We all have a story. So it's not going to be like, you're going to be born with a gold spoon in your mouth and your life's going to be amazing. That's not what happens. And I just wanted to put my story out there so people can see, like, you can come a long way. You can go far. Just believe in yourself. Don't worry about, in this moment, don't give up. Just don't give up. We all have to, ride some rough waves, and eventually we'll get to the calm part, and we'll get to the part where, you get to be successful
Enjoy
and
success.
happy. Yes, yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
So that's why, I started it.
Love it, love it, love it. Now, on your website, you talked about, from a health perspective, your journey from, being overweight to being a healthy individual. Again, something that many of us in our community often shy away from. Why did you think that was important for you to even talk about your weight loss journey and share that and inspire other people, other women?
You know, sometimes people talk about stuff. It's one thing to say words, and it's another thing to see pictures. And the picture of me being 200 pounds, I was never ashamed of it. You know, that was me. But I made the changes to live a healthy lifestyle, to lose the weight, and I wasn't going to be embarrassed or ashamed of it. So I did it just to inspire women or people who just trying to lose weight, who's trying to get healthy. You know, it's really a hard journey, but you know, one step at a time, you know, one workout at a time, you're able to achieve that goal. So that's why I did it. I didn't do it because people are like, are you crazy? Why would you put yourself out there like that? But it wasn't about me. It was about me, like being selfless and, you know, trying to motivate and inspire people to get healthy themselves.
And you're being your authentic you.
Yes.
That's amazing. The other component of your journey, your incredibly inspiring journey that I'd love to touch on is your community component, your opportunities that you've created to be able to not only give back to your community here in Canada, but your community back home in Grenada. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, so I think it was in 2017, I took a trip to the Caribbean, to Grenada, and I went to one of the primary school where my sister taught, and it's a school with a lot of kids, hundreds of kids, and they had like a little printer, and I'm like, is that the printer? And she's like, yeah, that's the printer for the whole school. And I thought, like, that's so unfortunate. Like, no school should have this little printer that we have at, some people have bigger printers than that in their home office. So I decided when I came back to Canada to do a GoFundMe to raise the money to buy them a big printer. They had a little bit of money, but they didn't have enough to buy it, and they were going to have to do fundraisers and bake sales, and it just seems as if they were trying to raise that money for years and years and years. And so I came back and I started a GoFundMe, and I think within 2 weeks I was able to raise 2,500 Canadian dollars. I went down and I presented it to them, and they were able to buy a big copier, and kids were able to go home with their homework, because when I was there, kids had to write the homework. The teacher had to write it on a chalkboard, and the kids had to write it down.
Yeah.
Now their homework is being printed up for them, and they get to go home with their homework. So it was about saving time and just giving back. Also, because I grew up extremely poor, I never had a toy at Christmas ever. Never, ever. In 18 years or more of my life, I never had a toy. And when I went back in 2020 to celebrate my 40th birthday, I was just looking at the kids running around, no shoes on, you know, playing in the dirt. They didn't have toys or anything. And I thought to myself, you know, I have to come back. I have to do something. And so in 2020, I know in the middle of a pandemic, I decided to launch a cold Christmas toy drive in the middle of summer, and everybody thought they were, like, I was crazy.
Yeah.
And in 2 months, we were able to collect 900 toys to send back to the children in Grenada.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
And it's hard to imagine, right? Here we are in 2020 and imagining children playing without toys, you know, running around, you know, bare feet. It's hard to imagine, but it's the reality of many children across the globe.
Yeah, it is definitely reality. And, you know, because you live it, you know, you experience it, it's a different mindset when you've lived through it. You always want to find a need to give back and to, you know, just try to make somebody's life better. If you can use your name, your face, you know, to be able to change a child's life, why not? And so that's why I try to give back and I try to help. And not only that, here in Canada in 2012, unfortunately, I lost my job, and I was going to the food bank to get food and clothes and books for my daughter as recent as 2012.
Wow.
And now I write checks to some of the food banks here in Canada as a way of giving back. Yeah.
This is so powerful because, you know, the previous show we talked about, you know, being vulnerable as well, and using that vulnerability to be able to give back to the community. And here we are again having the same conversation with you, Charlyn, talking about, you know, your vulnerability, and now you're in a position to give back and help others, right?
Yes.
It is absolutely powerful. You could have easily said, you know what, I'm good now. Right, I've made it, right? And so enjoy the fruits of your labor, but yes, you're enjoying the fruits of your labor, but you're giving back to your community right here at home in Canada and in Grenada, where you were born.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, so inspiring. You mentioned your daughter. How does she feel about all of your accomplishments?
You know, kids are always embarrassed of their mom. Their friends are always, your mom's so cool, your mom's so cool.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh my God, you're annoying, you're embarrassing
Yes,
me.
yeah.
Right? But I think deep down, she's actually really proud. She sees how hard I work. She knew the struggle, like, in 2012 or even 2006 when I bought my first house at 26 by myself with no husband, nobody. It was solely just myself, my name on the mortgage. And she knew the struggle that we had growing up. Like, I wasn't able to give her, like, a lot of toys, but you got a toy, and now, like, she's able to have a good life, and
Nice.
so I think she's really proud. And
Good.
even if she don't say it that much, I know deep down she's like, oh, that's my mom.
Yeah, of course. And I'm
Yeah.
sure she's inspired as well by all of your great accomplishments. And, that is helping her on her journey to develop her own confidence.
Yeah, most definitely. I call her workaholic. Just Saturday, I'm like, you cannot go to work. You're working too hard. You have no reason. Yeah, but some of her mindsets and some of her qualities, I see them in myself at 18, wanting to work as hard as I can, doing 16 hours a day, so I think, it's a good thing, and I'm glad that I get to be a role model to her, and hopefully to a lot of young girls who's out there watching this and
Yes.
thinking like, oh, I wouldn't be successful, I wouldn't be nobody, I believe what these people are saying about me. So I'm hoping that like if it changes one Black girl's life, then, I think, we're doing something good here.
That's amazing. And so in 30 seconds or less, what is that one message that you would leave to your audience, anyone watching?
Believe in yourself. I know people say that all the time and it sounds cliched and people say believe in yourself, but truly believe in yourself. Stand up for yourself, go in battle for yourself. If you don't stand up for yourself and don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. And just believe that you can be successful, that you can be somebody, and don't let nobody stand in the way of your success or you being yourself.
Oh my gosh, absolutely amazing, mind-blowing conversation with you, Charlyn. Thank you so much for joining us today on In Conversation with Alethia. And if there's any message that you can take away from today's conversation is believe and you will achieve. Thank you so much for joining us on In Conversation with Alethia. Please tune in next time for another amazing episode.